Well, good evening, one and all. Welcome along to the Studio Rats Live Q&A number 107. My name's James Ivy. Yes, you guessed it. This evening, I am on my lonesome. So, first of all, if anybody wants to join in, I've put the links in the notes over there, in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch. So, if anybody wants to join in, please do join me and stop me talking to myself all evening. I've been trawling the gear news websites, and of course, this week before, while I've been left on my own, there's not a lot going on in that front. You'll also probably be wondering, why is there a lot of white noise in the background? Well, for any of you in the UK, it's been damn hot. Hot is an understatement when I'm sat next to the console and the PC. So I've got the fan going in the background. So please do let me know if the fan noise is irritating over the top or just damn right noisy. I'm just trying to stop myself from cooking from the outside in. So Paul is he's working in Belgium this week on a songwriting camp. So sadly, he can't be joining us because where he's staying, it's the 14th century and they have no internet apparently. We've asked a few people to join us. They may be joining us later on. I've sent out some pleas, I think. But yeah, it's just me on my Todd and yeah, so we'll dive through, do the normal stuff. I will do my best to answer any questions you have. Early doors shout out to Chris Williams, who's in. Pet Moxie joins us as ever. Great to have you with us. Bruce, great to have you with us too. David Brose is with us, and John Gordon. Thus far, it's a small but select bunch. What can I say? So studio updates. We are well into week 3 of the build, and if any of you have ever seen what a prefab concrete building looks like before the concrete is poured, we're at that stage. All the rebar and the metalwork and the metal mesh is currently going into the hole. The guys only finished about half an hour ago, so they're working long hours to get this one ready for next Monday, which is going to be the pour, the concrete. So all the digging is done pretty much. They've just got to tie in the last of the rebar to make the base structurally sound. I think we worked out something like 2.5 tons of steel work in there, and going to be getting on for probably 16, 17 cubic meters of concrete being poured in. I won't bore you anymore with that because I appreciate that pouring concrete and that sort of stuff is not exactly interesting. But hey, we're getting there. I know from watching many a series of grand designs that if you get the groundwork right, you are more than 80% of the way there. The rest is hopefully plain sailing. Hopefully. Every time I speak to the builder, he says, right. And I know that means get your checkbook out or get your credit card out. So, hey. Some housekeeping quickly. Again, if the noise in the background is too much, please do say I'll turn the fan off and I'll just boil. But yeah, we'll get there. It's all good. Let me just jump on a few more of these comments because various people are saying stuff. Yes, I am flying solo tonight, John. Dave McQuillan's in the house. Life is good. It's all good. If you haven't checked out Dave's page on Reverb, the Highland Plectrum Company, they make amazing plectrums out of, or Dave makes amazing plectrums out of coinage. Amazing. Great stuff. No, we're not sponsored, but hey, good shout out for good products. Joe Startup is in the house. Hi, fellas. Well, hi, me at the moment. Mark O says, first time I've caught one of these shows live, and it's me on my own. Sorry about that. Farad H says, evening, everyone. Evening, James, everyone. JP says, hi from Argentina. Wow, great to have you with us. Avjit, my cap, where's the other dude? The other dude is working in Belgium and doesn't have any internet. So he did say he might try and join in the fun, but yeah, it's me on my lonesome. I've got some gear news to talk about later on. Hopefully you'll throw some questions at me. Hey, if tonight doesn't last that long, then we could all get at the pub quicker. No, we can't really. Hey, Shep's in the house. Shep Shepherd, great to see you, buddy. Joe says, is your new studio build, I will put something, is your new studio build from your own design or model after another you liked? It is very much my own design and my own plan, if you like. A lot of people are saying, but you're doing it wrong. My first call for this place is to be a place for me to work. And I do a lot of video, as you all know, I'm sure, and a lot of music. It's going to be a drum space. It's going to be somewhere I can record drums, guitars, bass, tracks, things like that. I don't do that much mixing, but what I do, I need to be high level. I want to get into Atmos mixing. Again, Disney aren't going to come calling me to mix their next feature, but I want to get into that because I think it's the right time to be learning about Atmos and immersive audio. So there are a few things that when it is built, people look at it and go, well, I wouldn't have done that. Or what they'll actually say is, that's wrong. I know enough about acoustic design and enough about, acoustics and reflections and absorption and things like that to hopefully get this one right. I've got a few people that I'm asking advice along the way. A few people I'm paying for advice along the way, but it is primarily, yes, Joe, the design is from here on paper. Once we get the actual block work up and I can work out the numbers, we'll know I can I can finesse the design a little bit to make sure on paper at least it's accurate and right. But yeah, it is pretty much from here. And all the things I did right in my last two studios and all of the things I did wrong in the last two studios are going to be added to this one to hopefully make it as cool as it can be. But there's a lot of work still to do, as you can imagine, I'm sure. Matt writes in the house, hi everyone. Dave Brose, the fan is fine. Thank you, sir. That means I will not cook. Can't hear the fan at all, says Shahar. Oh, Shahar, great to have you back with us. Haven't seen you in a little while. Thomas Nonsense says, howdy from Brisbane. Howdy, Thomas. Shahar Bar says, is Paul still in summer camp? Yes, he's at summer camp. I've never been on one of these writing camps. I quite fancy it one day, but not this time. Not while I've got quite so much going on. Okay, thoughts on a decent camera for capturing guitar and vocal? That's from Pet. Let me put that one in the thing. The problem with cameras generally is their microphones are shocking, which is why whenever Paul and I do stuff, we always have our own microphones and we always have high quality mics rather than using the camera mics. I know people who do YouTube updates and things on their iPhone with those kind of Rode Bluetooth mics, and they work quite well. To be honest, camera-wise, your iPhone is going to be amazing. You can get adapters now for those that will work really, really well. I use, he says, trying to find one. Do hold. Stay there a second. I think I've got 4 or 5 of these now. These Sony 4K camcorders. It's, if you want to know the exact model, it's FDR AX700, and they are Sony's top end kind of handycam model before you get into the detachable lenses and super expensive end. They're 4K. They are amazing. I use these live as live cameras for cheer and stuff, but I also use these in the studio, and they are really good. Whatever you do, wherever you are in the world, if you do want to get hold of one of these, and I'm going to say this quietly because I could get told off, but go Grey Import. Use a site like Toby Deals or secondhand from eBay. I've picked all my ones up for well under 1,200 quid, whereas the RRP is well over 1,800. Deals are there to be had, which is cool. But I use those. The reason I use camcorders rather than DSLRs or the Sony kind of Alpha series that a lot of people are using now is because A, you can normally stick 2 memory cards in one of these, 228 gig memory cards, giving you 5-6 hours at 4K, which is great. It also, focusing is much quicker. There's much more control on those, but you can switch it to auto, and it's really, really cool. Really, really good. yeah, hopefully, Pet, that's answered your question. But honestly, for filming, your iPhone will be absolutely fine. Okay, Chris Townsend says, James, would you be happy to be as bald as Paul if you could play guitar like him? The amount of hair doesn't bother me. I'm a drummer first and foremost. Paul can't play drums like me. I can't play guitar like him. I'm happy with that. There's no competition there. But I do like my Barnet as it is. Thank you. Avjit says, I've just ordered an Airstep Cat Edition foot controller just 10 minutes ago from the website. Is it safe? As far as I can tell, yes. Paul and I have had them. We've been using them for stuff. Really, really good little thing. I can't say for certain whether their website is legit. You know, they are based in the Far East, but yeah, people have got them. That people are using them. They are great units. So yeah, go with it. I'm sure you'll be fine. If you have any problems, come back to us. We have contacts at the company. I don't think you will, though. Thomas Nonsense says, how highly or otherwise do you rate Logic Pro X for home recording? I was scared of Logic back at Logic Platinum days, you know, on the Macintosh G3 platform before they were owned by Apple. So I've never really been a huge Logic user, but, you know, a gazillion people who use Logic around the world can't be wrong. It's great. It's a great platform for home recording. Yes, it's fantastic because you buy it once and you get all the updates. A lot of people could learn from that that business model, naming no names. Logic's great. They all do the same thing. At the end of the day, they're all a multi-track tape recorder and a mixing desk, a mixing platform. With possible exception of something like Ableton, which is kind of loop based and sample based, things like that, it's still, you know, still effectively a tape deck, a multi-track tape recorder, and a mixer. They all do the same thing, and you get there slightly differently. I don't mind whichever flavor of DAW you like. They all sound great. They all sound very similar, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, Logic Pro, it ain't going away anytime soon, is it? Let's face it. So yeah, if you're going to learn a DAW, it's not a bad place to start. Bruce Brooks says, I need help from the Studio Rats community. I seem to be happy with my current gear and have lost my urges to acquire anything new. Please help convince me to get over this complacency. Help me. Bruce, you're talking to a person who this week has spent money on sand and cement and steel and power cable and nothing exciting in the gear world because I'm desperately trying. I'm plowing all my money into this building. I do have a list of some fun stuff that I've been trawling the interwebs for this evening, and looks like there's some good stuff out there. But to be honest, it gets to a point where, you know, I didn't even do the auction thing this time around because all my funds are tied up in other things. But I think I'm at a place where I've got everything I need for now. And I think we're in the same place. There are a few things I've got alerts for on eBay. Nothing that I'd bore a guitar community with because it's mostly drummy type stuff. A few mics and bits and pieces that if they show up, or ancillary bits that if they showed up, I'd probably pick them up. But no, I think guitar-wise, I'm pretty much there. There, I said it out loud. Sorry about that. Paul's not here. It's not a good week. Not a good week to be saying things like that. But hey, if anyone out there can help Bruce with some new stuff or some advice to reacquire gas, that's probably the opposite to what anyone's ever tried to do for it. But hey. Mike Huntley says, looking forward to your Atmos setup. So the Atmos thing is definitely a work in progress. I think anyone building a new studio right now would be very foolish not to at least plumb the cabling in for Atmos. So I'm going to have speaker cables or at least signal cables running to what I'm doing. I think is quite cool in the roof. Instead of having, so this is the thing with my previous studio. You spend quite a lot of money on drywall or plasterboard with various layering and to make it acoustically as isolatory as possible, and then you go and stick a hole in it with a downlighter, which has the acoustic isolatory properties of a fish. What I'm doing is a little bit different. I'm not putting any holes in the skin of the room anywhere. What I'm doing is dropping a 100mm tri-light. So you know the stuff they have at gigs for lighting rigs. They do a miniature version which is 100mm square. And I'm dropping a lighting rig, and onto that will be DMX for lighting control, will be Dante, will be audio for speaker line, there'll be speaker line, there'll be power, there'll be HDMI for video, there'll be USB into this tri-light rig. So instead of being able to having to have microphone stands on the floor or having to have lights mounted on tripods, I can hang it all off this tri-light rig. What that also means I can do is I can hang speakers from it, which will hopefully mean all the speakers will be very cool and above me and in the right places, but all the cabling will be tucked out of the way and nice and tidy and lovely. So yeah, quite excited about that. So there's a lot of cabling got to go into this room yet, but we're very much at the groundwork stage. But yeah, Mike, I'll keep you up to speed. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to fund the Atmos rig yet because there's a lot of speakers to put in, but we'll get there somehow. Stephen James is in the house. Good day from Brisbane. Good day, Stephen. Joe says, as a drummer, my Tama Silver Star all birch little setup. Okay set. Maybe you don't know it. Yep, I played Tama for many years. Silver Star's a great kit. I played a what was it? It was a Birch Bubinga Star Classic, which was awesome. Very much the Simon Phillips thing, but yeah, very, very cool kits. Loved them. Built like tanks. It was my gig kit for years. Get an E-Red camera. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love a red camera, but they're serious money. Then you've got to put lenses on it. Then they have their own proprietary cards, which are quite prone to failing, and they're not cheap. So I would personally steer clear of red. If you just want to do a little bit of filming here and there, your iPhone or your phone, let's say, is going to have a perfectly acceptable camera on it. Shahar says, have you guys ever tried to extend yourselves into a different genre, even i.e. black metal? How are your blast beats? My blast beats are actually pretty good. I was asked a little while ago actually to do some music for a game, and it was all quite double pedal. I've been through my metal stage and played in metal bands and stuff like that, and played in prog bands and played in some pretty challenging stuff. Blast beats is not necessarily my musical forte, but yeah, I've played in most types of bands. Everything from, God, I started off with orchestras and big bands when I was a kid. Still love playing big band music now. Sadly, there's not many opportunities for that at the moment. And yeah, I'll play whatever comes along. Really, to be honest, I'm a musical whore. Throw me money, and I will happily play for you. Play whatever you want me to play. Pet, sir, you're a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you, sir. Cheers, James. Would you advise a piece of gear to use with Easy Drummer for triggering, etc.? I have him audio keyboards. You can use, if you've got an M audio keyboard that's got pads on it, you can certainly assign that to Easy Drummer. Just use a MIDI learn feature within Easy Drummer, and you can just assign the pads. That will work perfectly well. But it does mean you're going to be playing like this, which is a bit weird. I know drummers who have bought Roland. I'm trying to think what the latest version of the 8-pad kind of drum machine thing is, with a kick pedal and a hi-hat pedal, and they'll trigger from those. That works pretty well because obviously he's playing with sticks, so you get some kind of groove. There is a guy called David Fingers Haynes, who you should check out. I've done sort of drum battle type things with him, and the guy is amazing. Because he's playing on pads like Korg nano pads, things like that, with fingers, with 10 fingers and feet. he can do things that no one on earth can do. He can do drum grooves and patterns that you just cannot play because he's got effectively 10 sticks or 8 sticks and feet. It's ridiculous. I think it's called an SPD8 wood. Yeah, SPD8 is the one you play with sticks. But yeah, you should be able to configure Easy Drummer for triggering from your M Audio keyboard using the MIDI learn function. If you can't do it just through Easy Drummer's own control panel, do it through your DAW, and it definitely will have a MIDI learn feature, and it'll all be good. You'll like that. How are we doing here? Okay. Good evening, James. What iPad or iMac should I get for GarageBand? I'm new to home recording. To be honest, if you're new to home recording, get yourself an iPad with GarageBand on it, and you'll be well away. You'll probably need some kind of small interface. IK Multimedia do a thing called the iRig, which talks directly to your iPad. I think it might even slot in. Focusrite certainly do a slot-in one, which is very, very cool. Yeah, start small. You don't need this lot. You just, I appreciate that was all guitars, but you don't need one of these to get you up and running. You don't need consoles and things. Just get yourself an iPad. Something, because you're going to be downloading the latest version, you could, obviously, I don't think it's possible to actually backtrack on an iPad to previous versions. Get something reasonably up to date. I bought the new iPad Pro a little while ago for a project, and it is off the chart. Amazing, this thing. And it's, yeah, they're amazing. It's an M1 chip effectively inside an iPad. They're incredible. So yeah, just get one, and then worry about it later when you run out of speed. When you run out of steam, then update it secondhand. Check out the Apple Refurb store as well, because you will always get stuff cheaper that way. And all it basically means is it's been sold. It might have had a scratch on the case. It's gone back to Apple. They've replaced it, but they can't sell it as new. So it comes in a matte cardboard box, not a shiny spot laminated one. Big deal, like we care. Hopefully that helps. Bruce, get an Axe 3. It's completely mind-blowing. Do you know what? I think that's going to be the thing. There's two things I want to get for the new studio. One, I want to get a piano. I've kind of already got that. I mean, I'm running out of money for it, but I've kind of already got that. And I would love an Axe. I think Axe could be the way forward for my guitar rig. Yeah, no more buying of bits and pieces, but like we say that. Bruce Brooks says, if I don't get over my problem, I'm going to start buying cars again. They're just too expensive. Also, you can't crash a guitar. That is true. I've seen a few smashed before, but never crashed. Yeah. Well, I've found some goodies on the interwebs that probably you aren't going to like. But Bruce, just wait for the next find, the next barn find, and then challenge maybe Joe Bonamassa on a bidding war on something. Who knows? I don't know. Shahar again, or add a sub to your monitoring setup. I already have a sub. In fact, I have 2 subs currently. My Focal Twin 6Bs have the sub, I think it's a sub 9 sub, but the big monitors that I use, which are the Tannoy Ellipses, have the big sub as part of the 2.1 setup, and it's 2,000 watts into 2 12-inch drivers. It's way too big for this room, but for the new room. So yeah, subs are the way. I like a sub. I like to feel it. Not necessarily for mixing, but certainly for playing, and certainly for getting the vibe up when everyone's trying to get their groove on. A sub in the room makes it a lot of fun. Shahar, I have a sub. One of my closest mates has an Axe 3 and a Kemper that I can borrow anytime I want. And Shahar says, Future Man is awesome, and his brother Victor Wooten is a blast on bass. Yeah, I think that's who he goes out as now. But yeah, I've seen them all do their thing at NAMM, I think they had Stanley Jordan with them once as well on the Presonus booth, and I was blown away by those guys really going for it. It's like, yeah, this is too much like fun. So believe it or not, 25 minutes in, we've got to the end of the questions. So what I'm going to do is, if you see me do this quite a bit, it's because of the way we do this whole thing through StreamYard. I'm having to import the screen from the other machine, so it'll all make sense. But don't worry. So I'm going to share my screen. There it is. I didn't realize that the EVH brand was actually now owned by Fender, which is quite concerning. Not as concerning if it's been owned by Gibson, but hey. And they've brought out 4 new finishes to the EVH series. So we've got the striped eruption, which I think is really cool, and then 4 new natural wood finishes. That to me looks like an N4, the Washburn, but these just look the mutts. I would play that. I know Paul would probably hate it, but that kind of svelted maple top looks absolutely stunning. And I don't think they're that expensive, actually. I mean, they're probably some of them. Oh, there you go. Yeah, not that bad at all. Which, yeah, okay, we've got to wait till October. But, 800 euros, £689 for that guitar is not bad at all. Moving on. Now, I love a gimmick, a gadget. As anyone who's seen my pedal collection, in fact, you've mostly heard my pedal collection, but I love the idea of this thing. A string ensemble, so string 9 from Electro-Harmonix. Turning guitars into other instruments is fun at best of times. But this thing, a string section from your guitar, I love the idea of this. I so want to try one of these. Again, it's Electro-Harmonix, so their stuff doesn't tend to be cheap. But does it say the price on it anywhere? Anybody see it? No, of course not. But it looks like a lot of fun. The video is actually quite good on this. It's not one of those. It's a bit of a one-trick pony, but excuse me. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I liked the Electro-Harmonix organ 9, or I think it was called the C9 pedal. That was quite cool. Did it sound like a Hammond? No. This definitely sounds more like a string section. You have to, of course, work out what you're playing and play appropriately for what this thing's doing. But yeah, there's some cool stuff on there. I like that. Another new pedal that I saw, I quite like the idea of, is this thing called Screen Violence by, I think that's Churchevez and OBNE. It's basically 2 pedals in one, and they describe it as, where is it? Where is it? Screen Violence is a stereo saturated modulated reverb. $279. It's quite a cool thing. What I really like about it is the video. The video is features a harpist, and she's obviously doing everything in one hit. But this thing sounds really, really cool. And again, it's one of those, it won't be one of your set it and forget it pedals. This will be something you're bending down and tweaking and going for during the gig. I like that a lot. Yeah, I saw this and thought, would like to try one of those. And for a couple $100, that's got to be something I would definitely explore. It's time for a Harley Benton moment of the week. I don't know if we talked about this last week. I think we might have done. But man, for £379, this thing looks awesome. I mean, it's straight out of the Pensa Sir finish book. If there's Mark Knopfler during the sort of the 90s. That's stunning. I just hope it plays anything like as good as it looks. Roswell pickups, we're really going to have to fork out for one of these things. I'm so tempted. I really hope that's as good a guitar as it looks. So I think we might have said about this last week. Maple neck, maple fretboard, proper Floyd Rose, hopefully. I can say things like that because Paul's not here. Okay, so this was one that appealed to me. So as many of you may know, and a quick update, next week's show... No, I don't want to restart. Thank you very much. Next week's show will be our Bournemouth special. Last year, if any of you joined us, Paul and I, we just got a new streaming rig that we were testing. We built it in our Airbnb type house for the evening and proceeded to get slowly plastered as we did the live stream. We're going to do another one of those. We haven't got to do the build and the test this time, which is quite nice. But yeah, I think was it last year? We did. Yes, I think it was last year. And various people popping out in and out during the day. Hopefully, Larry North will make an appearance and we're going to have a chat and stuff. But that will be our Bournemouth special, the Bournemouth retreat special by the beach. We've got an amazing house this year. Anyway, I digress. One of the things we have to do at this particular event is one of the guys said to me, can we reproduce the Top Gun anthem? You know, down, 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 down. And lo and behold, as I'm trawling the interwebs, trying to find some interesting stuff, there's an article about Steve Stevens, who played the original, and how he got that noise, how he got that sound. So I was like, great. That's exactly what I needed. Apparently, the guitar was a Charvel Sandemus into a 68 Marshall Plexi, completely stock, used a Boss GE7 pedal to push the gain a bit. Well, I'm pretty sure we can recreate that in some form of platformy type thing we've got live for the event. I think Paul's bottled out of playing it, so it might end up being me, but we might not get the Steve Stevens solo at the end. But hey. But yeah, quite an interesting thing. I just trawling through and went, well, that's quite cool. And especially as Top Gun's quite in vogue at the moment because of Top Gun Maverick. Again, I think we might have covered this last week, but I don't know. The Dave Mustaine Flying V, but this time now in alien green. I just thought it was quite cool. And actually, the video's quite cool. Any of you who are... brain. I've just completely forgotten the name of the band. Dave Mustaine fans. It's the Hangar 18 video, which is quite cool, from Rust in Peace, and it's been tweaked with some skeleton-y bloke playing this guitar. Very, very cool, and it's still got that sort of really thin kind of Dave Mustaine kind of super overdrive sound. It's not even distortion to a point. It's certainly not a thrash metal sound. It's kind of quite thin sounding. But I love the color. I saw that and went, yes, that is definitely a guitar. Paul would hate it, but I actually quite like it. So I can get away with things because he's not here. So there. A big shout out to our comrade in arms, Rick Beato. I love these videos he does where he gets some of the top guys in the world to reimagine solos. And on this one, they're replaying the solo from Back in Black. And Phil X does a solo and it's awesome. And you think, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then Ron Bumblefoot Tal does a solo on Fretless, and it's absolutely off the chart. If you don't know who this guy is, he's played with Guns N' Roses, he's played with his own projects. He's currently on tour with a project with Billy Sheehan and Mike Portnoy, as far as I know. The guy is a monster, but the guy makes a fretless guitar sound like it's got frets from the tuning point of view, and then he does all the clever stuff. It's awesome. So check out the video on Rick Beato's channel, Everything Music. Really, really cool. The last one is, I love a homemade pedal. I love silliness. I just saw this and thought, I've got to give that a go. a pedal made of Lego. The circuit itself is pretty rudimentary, pretty basic, but if you want to see how to do it, there's a really cool video on how to make this. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? There it is. Is that the video? Yeah, there's the video. Just check it out. I made a fuzz pedal out of Lego in about 10 minutes. It's a very, very cool video, and I love it. I love the idea of having some Lego on my board. I think that's awesome. I'm going to build one. I might not necessarily build the same pedal because to me the pedal sounds a bit. Could try harder. I mean, it's only got about 5 components in it, so it's pretty straightforward for a fuzz. But yeah, I love that. I love the fact that I can just take it apart and remake it if I want to. Very, very cool. Hopefully you found that enlightening. We've kind of ploughed through it a little bit, but I get the feeling it might be a quietish show tonight. Who knows? So yeah, we're back. Let's dive into some more of your questions, as various more have appeared since. Hopefully I won't bore you too much. Hang on, there we go. Sorry, I had that one already. Shaharbar says, "Oh, no more questions." Okay, we'll keep them coming in. I'm glad I'm not the only one with gas. I've been combing the sites for anything, but I'm just adding to the collection at this point. Do you know what? With no gas, I should say. I'm at that stage. I've got the guitars I want. There's a few I might upgrade, if that makes sense. Maybe swap the Mexicans for an American, or swap the Japanese for an American, something like that. But actually, yeah, I'm fairly happy with my guitars at the moment. When I start using them and finding their limitations, then it's time to update them. But say I've got so many guitars here, I do use pretty much everything fairly regularly. There's no dead wood that sits there and go, hello, play me, please, play me. But there's a few things that I might like to update. I really like the Swamp Ash Special, but it's not resonating with me. It might be time for that one to go. I haven't quite decided yet. Anyway, Mike Huntley, what is your recommended powered speaker for an E-kit drum set? Is this for gigging or practice? Because if it's for gigging, you're going to need something fairly pokey, and you'll probably need a sub. If it's for practice, realistically, I'd get yourself a half decent powered monitor. Don't think you have to go and buy Roland's own E-kit drum setup speaker thing. You don't. Get yourself a pair of, if you want something loud and something that you're going to enjoy playing through, get yourself a pair of Mackie SRM 450s or 350s, because they've got plenty of bottom end, they've got plenty of top end, and they're going to be fun to play through. If you'd like something a bit more quality with a bit more price, I'd check out the QSCs. There's some really nice stuff in their line. But don't think you have to buy a speaker system that is designed for electric drums. That is a complete con. Thank you, Roland. You give us 2 little tiny satellite speakers that sit on the actual rack and a sub. Nah, just get yourself a half decent powered monitor. I think there's even one on, I think that Turbo Sound do one, and I think that's available on Toman or various other sites for about 400 quid, and it's quite pokey. I appreciate that Turbo Sound these days is owned by that company, but it doesn't stop them making good stuff still. Nedamido is in. Great to see you, buddy. Interesting setup. Amp with an attenuator all the way down to silent. Nux silent studio pedal in the FX loop, and I can use the Nux IRs for silent recording of my amp. Makes my Boss IR200 unnecessary. Yeah, it would do. I've not used the Nux stuff, but yeah. If you're using the attenuator to keep the amp under control, but you're getting the tone of the amp, then yes, the Boss IR200 would probably be unnecessary. I think you've answered your own question. Love the Mustang Gibsons. Yeah, me too. I think they look great. Pedro Spike, Phil X is a plonker. Well, he speaks very highly of you as well, Pedro. Joe says it's the Minecraft pedal. Yeah, I think it's definitely got Minecraft look to it. But I'm a huge Lego fan. The Star Wars Lego that's adorning this place. My son said to me last night, "Can you help me build this?" It was their birthday last week, so Lego was purchased. So I had to build Iron Man in Lego. You'll never hear me complaining about being the dad who has to build stuff. Okay. Nanometers back. Should I sell my IR200? It costs around €400 new. I bought it mainly for silent recording. I could keep it on my pedal board and use it for practice or writing or demo recording, plus it's versatile. My view is always, if you need the dough, sell it. If you don't, keep it. I would say. That's my view. I'm not going to endorse. I'm not going to push my views on people, but that would be my way of thinking. If you need the money, flog it. If you don't, keep it. Unless it's in absolutely pristine condition, boxed, and you're going to get practically the same money as you did when you bought it. Andy Guitar Live says, "You're doing great, James." Thank you very much. I like that. I'm quite used to talking to myself. I have children. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Nedamir says, "I'm looking at sites with used gear several times a day. I've got all I need, but if a great deal comes up, worst case scenario, I can flip it. Do I have gas? I think it's under control. Gear is very fun." I think the worst case of gas is when you buy something and don't use it. If you buy something, realize you don't like it, don't use it, and flip it on, pass it on, that's not gas. That's common sense. I think proper gear acquisition syndrome is when people buy stuff and they don't use it and it's in a cupboard. Now, I don't necessarily mean that with pedals, because pedals are one of those things, like particular effects pedals that in a studio environment, at least, like I'm trying to be or will be soon, you tend to have stuff that maybe won't come out of the locker or out of the drawer for a while, and all of a sudden it's the thing for that track, that band, and it gets embraced in a big way. If you're a lone wolf, a solo flyer, solo traveler, and it's not moving you, move it on. If it's in good nick, or if it's particularly rare, or if you've picked up a bargain somewhere. I know full well I would never now sell my Marshall Governor, but I know if I needed to, that would be one of the easiest pedals I have to sell, because they're very in demand at the moment. It's a very cool noise. Andy Guitar Live says Sons of Apollo is the name of the band. That's how Ron Bumblefoot Tile plays in. Also shows that he's a great singer. Yeah, it plays with Mike Portnoy, and I think it's Billy Sheehan is on bass for that band. Amazing band. Sorry, I didn't say hello. Great to be here. Nelamido, you're always welcome, as is everyone in the crew. Safety's in. Hey, James. James, hi. Will you get your new studio a particular A to D, D to A converter? No, I'm already using it. I've got the Antelope Audio Galaxy 32, which I'm using as my A to D for the studio, and it is amazing. I can actually run 3-4 computers off it simultaneously, and have been doing for a video that I'm doing at the moment. It's rock solid. It's absolutely the you-know-whats. I know Antelope get a bad press, and at this point I do say I work with Antelope. I'm a contractor for them. I make a lot of their tutorial and demonstration videos. So, what's the word? I put it out there. My brain's fried. It's too hot. Full disclosure is the phrase I'm looking for. But I love their stuff. I've actually been using the Galaxy, the Galaxy, which is the 32 channel with Dante and HDX connectivity and MADI. I've also been using the Goliath HD, which also has MADI and various other goodies as kind of dual redundant systems. But it's the Dante thing that makes it really, really usable and really flexible. So yeah, that will be my primary A to D, D to A, until Antelope come up with something else more amazing and they send it to me. David Brose, do you have to like the player to buy the signature model? I own a 1979 Ibanez Iceman, and I'm not a Kiss fan, but it's still pretty cool. Oh, interesting question. I have owned. I'm trying to think where I owned a signature guitar. The signature guitar I'd like an Eric Johnson, one of the old ones before the bound model with the ebony fingerboard. I didn't like those. But I don't like bound guitars, as we all know. I'd love an Eric Johnson signature model, but I am an Eric Johnson super fan. Do I have to like the player? I don't think I do, but I think it helps. Discuss on that one, guys and girls. Well, let's be fair, girl, and see what we end up with. I think that's interesting. Good point, David. PRD 004.2. Never sell gear unless you need the money. I'm kind of there as well. I think that's where I'm at. Or if you just don't use the gear. I did have a rule for a while. If I didn't use it in 18 months, I didn't need it and I sold it. That was when it was my own thing and I was doing my own studio thing. Now I'm in a kind of commercial-ish kind of setting where people come in and work with me. I don't sell so much. I mean, you can see I've got the J Station there that Paul and I did a feature on a little while ago. That's been there for weeks, and I keep meaning to sell it, but I just can't do it because it's worth peanuts, and it's occasionally a sound. I'll need a sound, and I go, do you know what? The J Station will do that. It'll do it perfectly. So then a video says, I'll keep the IR200 for now, but it's in mint condition, 2 months old, so I'll think about it. Haha, that sounds like you're in that good place of I don't necessarily need the cash right now, but it might be handy if something else comes along. It's a bit like Paul and guitars. He'll flip a guitar when something else comes along that he really wants. Yeah, pretty much. Apollo Creed. What should I use on the neck pickup? What I should use on a neck pickup or neck and middle for some rhythm crunch stuff? I think it depends on the amp as well. I tend to really go for. I'm guessing what's that guitar? Is that well, that's a bass for a start, so we could be in trouble trying to analyze that one. I tend to. So today I was using my Les Paul, and I think I was rolling back the neck pickup to get a thinner sound. These Kinmans that we put on the Les Paul during the amazing 12-hour extravaganza have push pots, which allow it to go into single coil mode. But even in kind of what I'd call conventional humbucker mode, I think I ended up using the neck pickup, but winding it back to get that kind of slightly thinner sound, and that gave a really nice crunch. And then when I wanted to, I could wind it in to get a bit more dirt, and then wind it back a bit to clean it up. So I think there's no right and wrong, Apollo. There's certainly no right and wrong answer there. If you get the sound you like, go for it. There's no to get a clean, clunchy sound, use the neck and middle. I guess you're on some kind of 3 pickup guitar, so won't work on a Les Paul. But yeah, there's no rules. There's never a rule. The only rule is there's no rules. Okay. Chris Williams, I curbed my gas by packing up all my pedals and buying a Katana 100. That's certainly a really good place to start because, quite frankly, Katana is everything you need. Realistically, it's everything you need. Any guitar player worth their salt can gig on one of those, no problem at all. Could get the most amazing tones. I have a great time when I dig the Katana out. It's probably going to be one of the main amps in the studio. I've got some amazing amps. I've got lots of fun stuff. But if I can just dial in a tone like I can in the 11 rack out of the Katana, great. Okay. Joe, do you think Paul is a closet shredder? I don't think he is. I know he is. I've seen Paul whiz all over the thing. I don't think he's a chug merchant. No way. But that guy has got fingers, and I would never say that to him out loud. But boy, can that boy play! Taylor Swift guitar shredding for dummies. Hi James, any recommendations for some basic acoustic treatment at home? My wee teaching room home studio is 3 meters square, but it's plaster on the walls. It's an exact square. So first of all, that's your problem. You're in an exactly square room. You are fighting a not losing battle, but you're certainly fighting a struggling battle from the word go. Make sure you are not sat in the middle of the room. Make sure you're at least, if you can, 3 meters is what. If you're at a desk, you need to be in the forward third, definitely. That's going to help you not be in the null zone, or the absolute conference of all the waves in your room. Second thing, you need to get some acoustic treatment on the walls, and you can make it. Get yourself some high density rock wool. If you're handy with a if you're a handy DIYer, Taylor Swift guitar shredding for dummies, make yourself some 2x4 boxes, some wooden frames. Get some Hessian or some sort of acoustically invisible material. I'll go away. I actually bought some material, some green material, because my old studio was primarily green. Wrapped these frames in the green material, stapled it all, put in a piece of this high density rock wool, and then screwed that to the wall in the reflection points. What do I mean by reflection points? So you'll need someone to help you do this. You'll need an assistant. So sit in your monitoring position. So say we're here, and say my monitors are here and here. What you do is you ask your assistant to take a mirror along the wall, and when you can see the monitor in the mirror, and you'll find 2 points for each one. So you'll find a point for each speaker, 2 points on the wall. So you'll find the first point will be one speaker, and the second point back will be another one. That's where you need to apply your absorption, so your rock wool panels. You can make those for about, so you can easily make 6 to put on the walls for about 100 quid, and that will help you absolutely massively. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the reflection points that are coming at you sideways. Ideally, you need something behind you to stop the direct reflections. A lot of people will say use diffusion, but diffusers are expensive. You could make these 6 panels for under 100 quid and do a really good job and help your room no end. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a damn good start. Plaster walls are not to be scared of. My new studio will be plastered, but there will be treatment in certain places to have certain effects. A small room is not to be scared of. I wouldn't put any big monitors in there. I'd use sort of fairly smallish monitors with maybe 5-inch drivers is probably the most you'd get away with. But try it. 100 quid is probably worth the effort. If you're not a DIYer, you could get various companies do solutions of similar things. Prime Acoustic do some wall hanging trap things, and they're a bit more expensive than $100, but they do look pretty and they're already made for you, which is a bonus. Hope that helped. Andy Guitar Live, what would you recommend as video lighting that is affordable? The Elgato stuff is expensive for my tastes, and you don't need to control. I don't need to control it from a computer. No, Amazon. The lights that Paul and I use are controlled by these little controllers. Boom. Wind it up. There I go. And they are about, I've got 6 of these now in total. I keep 2 for mobile, 2 this side of the kit, so this side of the desk, 2 that side. So if I'm facing this way, I've got light. If I'm facing that way, I've got light. I think 2 of these with stands, with the controllers, these little, these things, the LED panels, are about 150 quid. And they're fine. That's what Paul uses. That's what I use. They're great, and you can get them on Amazon. I think they're by a company called Newer, Neewer. get the remote control ones. That means you haven't got to get up to the lights and flick them on. Bruce says, I love Eric Clapton, but I already have 3 Strats, so I don't feel any need to buy an Eric Clapton signature Strat. Clapton is the other Strat I'd get. I'd get a Clapton Strat or a Gilmore Strat. Oh, yeah, a Gilmore Strat. Come on, Zach. The only rule is that when whatever pedal or pickup configuration you use, nothing beats the sound and feel of a tromboner. Well, there's always one, isn't there? Yeah, I'll go with that. A trombone. We always need one of those, and a tromboner is even better. Unless I've missed an in-gag that I don't know about, not being first call guitar player. Sorry. Thank you. I use the Ibanez Geo-style Strat. I just gotta experiment until I find a close to Hendrix style crunch. Ah, you didn't say that. Hendrix style is definitely between, I would say between neck and middle. But the important thing there is the univibe. That's the bit that's going to give you the Hendrix tone, not just the effect, but it's the actual tone of a univibe. That's what's going to give you that sound, I think. Have you worked out the HVAC for the new studio? HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Yes, I have. There will be a single unit. We're not talking extraction, but there will be a single unit in the studio that will do heating and AC, and it also does air recycling. And then there'll be the outside condenser unit. So it's a 2-part type thing. Yeah, it's quite a bit of cash for a room that size, but it's worth it. Everything for this project is 4 figures. Everything I touch, every time I speak to my builder, he says, "Oh, we need this," and I'm like, "How much is that?" "Oh, it's $1,000." Yes. Anywho, Taylor Swift. Yeah, thanks, James. Hopefully that helps. Always give the rats the thumbs up. Yes, definitely. I appreciate I'm flying solo tonight, so thank you for keeping me busy. Paul will be in Bournemouth next week for the Bournemouth alcoholic special, but yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for bearing with me. I've seen the newer lighting, just didn't know if they're any good. Now I know. Thanks. Yeah, they're great. Oops, old man nap took preference today. Good to have you with us, buddy. Preferred tuner for guitar. Where is it? Hang on. Where's the guitar that I was using today? Hold on one second. So, on the board, I've got a TC Polytune Nano. They're great because you can go ching and see at a glance what's out of tune. But actually, on the acoustics and things, I use one of these Polytune Clip, and they're awesome. They're about 50 quid now, and yeah, works on acoustics, 12-string bass, silly detune stuff, really cool. And the number of times I get people asking me, "What's that thing on the end of your guitar? Is it a camera?" No, it's a tuner. In the studio, you're tuning all the time. You're tuning after every take. Sometimes you're tuning every chord, because we all know what a hack guitar tuning is. So, hey. Apollo Creed says, "Thanks for your advice." Apollo, you are very, very welcome. So we've hit the hour. Somehow we've made an hour. There's no more questions. So hang on. Oh, there are some more questions, as always. I say I'm about to shut up shop, and everyone hits me up, which is great. Buddy, I thought I was the sarcastic guy. If you want to be sarcastic, K. Michael P., that's absolutely fine. Everyone's a buddy in here because we're all friends. We're all in the same musical guitar recording journey. There's no point in anyone being narky or anything like that. We're all on the same journey, so we're all friends here. God, that was politically correct, wasn't it? Very unlike me. James, any advice for a guitar player learning drums? I've messed with them for years, but want to learn to play properly. I've replaced my electric kit with an acoustic one. Right. First things first. That's the first thing you need to do. Anyone who says, "Oh, I can play drums. I play an electric kit. I learned on electric kit." You haven't learned drums. You've learned to play bits of rubber. It's not the same. You don't get the same response off a real 16-inch floor tom as you get from a pad, a mesh head pad that you can do drum rolls on and things like that. You just can't. It's not the same. It's not as physically exhausting playing an electric kit. I've taught rock schools for years. We've had electric kits in the rooms, and they've come to play a real kit, and kids are fried after 2 songs. I'm like, so what are you going to be like after the end of a 3-hour set? You know. Yes, it is louder. I know that. Sorry, neighbours. I would say, honestly, these days, get yourself a good teacher. Still, get a teacher that you can go to for some refreshers, for some help, to point you in the right direction. Sign up to a channel like Drumeo, because they are by far the best drum tuition channel out there on the interwebs. And if you're going to sign up to anything other than the Studio Rats, of course, you should sign up to that, because it's really, really useful, and they get top pros in and give you amazing ideas. And even the free stuff is worth watching, because it's just really cool. And let's face it, you can always learn something. Keep doing it. Basically, play. Buy yourself a metronome, play along to records, because that way you'll learn stamina, you'll learn how to get through a song. It worked for me for years. I used to play along with CDs and records and tapes forever. That was my rehearsal. That was my practice. So, yeah, do that. Cheers, James. Maybe one show a month without Paul. Ah, I'm sure you'd say that to Paul when I'm not here. So, yeah. Cheers, guys. I'm an hour late, but happy to catch you live. Have a great evening. Tomaz, great to have you with us. I don't know how much longer we'll go. We'll go until people stop talking, I guess, including me. Speaking of which, I need to glug some of this. Bruce Brooks, I've been playing with some new plugins that convert guitar to MIDI. No need for a MIDI pickup. Lots of fun so far. I love the fact that it has actually got to the stage now where there is reasonable audio to MIDI conversion. It used to be rubbish. The only way to do it convincingly was to have like a hex pickup on your guitar, but nobody really wanted to put a hex pickup on a half decent guitar, so everyone ended up putting on Squier Strats and things like that. Fender did a Roland Ready Strat for a while, which was really nice, but it was quite a good guitar in the first place. I had a Brian Moore iGuitar, which was great, but as the guitar, wasn't a fantastic guitar, unfortunately. David Quinlan, I use Polytune, great piece of kit. I agree. Reed drums. Any opinion on mesh heads? Yeah, they're cheating, but they're great for playing. Are you thinking of replacing real drum heads with a mesh head and then having a trigger? It's great for shows. It's great for the new world of we don't like real drums on gigs. But it's not the same as playing a real head, because a real head does not respond like a mesh head. It just doesn't. Nadamido says, I started as a drummer when I was 13. Today I use an E-kit, works fine for the home use. But nothing beats the feeling of sitting behind a real kit and rocking out. That is absolutely true. The other thing, of course, that parents forget, when they buy an E-kit for their son or daughter or heir, what they forget is they put them upstairs and they say, that'll be nice and quiet. And then what they proceed to hear is boom, ka, boom, boom, of their son or daughter bashing the hell out of the floorboards in the room above the living room, at which point they get demoted to the garage or some kind of outbuilding. Yeah, an E-kit is not the way to keep drums quiet, because you're still going to end up thumping through the ceiling. There are better ways to do it than forking out a lot of money on a probably quite average E-drum kit. So, hey, yeah. Thomas Nonsense, maybe one show a week without Paul. Oh, no more Paul bashing. Bless him. He wanted to come on tonight, but he just couldn't get a signal. Mesh heads, more so. Yeah, yes, yeah. Check out Dave Eilish's drum. Eilich I'm going to go with drum course. He's on tour with Weezer in Europe. Amazing drummer, great teacher. He talks about correct sitting posture, arm and leg position. The importance of ergonomics. Absolutely. My normal first response, if I can't play something or I'm struggling, is because I'm probably hunched up. I play a drum stool with a back, and I make sure that I'm planted into that stool properly. And if I can feel my back against the stool, there's a fair chance my breathing and my posture is good. As soon as you start to hunch up and crush your lungs, your breathing goes to pot, everything goes over, and all of a sudden you start rushing, fills fall over. You need to be free. The kit needs to be well laid out in an ergonomic fashion. If you're going round a kit, round the toms, and you then get to here and you end up having to pull your arms in, that's not ergonomic. Don't think that everything has to be really close. It has to be the right reach for your body. It's important. More so using mesh heads for practice. Yeah, it works for practice, but don't think you're practicing stamina when you're playing on mesh heads. You're not. You're just playing. What is your number one guitar at the moment? Oh, that's really hard. Do you know what? Number one guitar at the minute is coming out all the time. It's my Les Paul Studio. Since we replaced the pickups for the Kinman HXs, this thing is a new guitar. It's had a new lease of life. I adore it. I think we might have tweaked the action a little bit when we set it up, when we took the bridge off, and it's just brought it down a little bit. And it's such a nice guitar now. It was a great guitar before, but it's a really nice guitar now. This is the one I'm pulling out quite a lot. I'm also doing quite a lot of rock stuff at the minute, so it makes sense to have something heavy. But this thing is a weighty beast. And I'm probably going to take it to Bournemouth with me to use on the Top Gun moment. So yeah, I think that's number one at the minute. Do you use the presets on UAD plugins or tweak to taste? My ears aren't tuned enough yet to tweak what already sounds great to me. I often use presets as a starting point, and then I will tweak a lot. I mean, often with things like reverbs, I won't bother because I'll just flick to another preset to try and find something I like. I'm not one of these people who goes, "Oh, I need my reverb darker. I need it brighter. I might go, "Oh, it's not quite what I imagined the snare drum to do on a particular track or whatever." But yeah, I'll tweak. I'm definitely a plug-in, a preset monkey who tweaks. Definitely, give me some ideas. Even for mastering presets, things like that, I'll go with a preset to give me somewhere in the ballpark, and then I'll tweak. So nothing wrong with that, as far as I know. No one's complained. I'm still working, so. Nedimino, my E-kit has quiet pedals, triggered by pulling the chain wire, not by hits. But a friend lived below me with an E-kit. She moved within 3 months. Yeah, it's you're stamping on the floor. That's what it is. It's not the pedals. It's the stamping on the floor. That's what does it. Posture is important. Look what happened to Phil Collins. Interestingly, though, Phil Collins' posture was not from playing drums. It was from pumping him full of, I think it was cortisol, to get his vocal cords through gigs. And cortisol buildup basically ruins your bones. That's what's finished him off, to be honest. And that's from him. That's from his book. So yes, the guy as a kid growing up, Phil Collins was a drumming god, and to see him as he is now, quite frankly, a cripple, it's very sad. But that's what happens when you try and get through gigs by pumping yourself full of drugs that no one really knew what the side effects were. Hey. Thanks, James. It's a good job Paul isn't here with all this drum kit talk. Yeah, he'd have to put up with it. I think we should make the studio rats the drum rats. Who knows? What other pickups? They are Kinman HX. I think they're his LP 59 set. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And they've got push-pull coil taps in them. So I can have a humbucker at the front or a single coil at the back and vice versa. Blend them. Great guitar. Really, really great pickups on a good. It was a good guitar before. It's a great guitar now. What's the best way to get my guitar out of iPad into a speaker instead of my headphones? Using an Apogee Jam for interface or Bias Effects Mobile. Sometimes I don't like wearing headphones. Nobody likes wearing headphones. I think IK Multimedia do a thing called the iRig. I think that's quite cool. That's got output for speakers. Anything that's got speaker output, a headphone jack output, you can route to a set of speakers. You just need the appropriate cable. You need something like, depending on what your speakers have an input for, something like a mini jack output into a pair of quarter-inch jacks for the speakers, or a pair of phonos if you're going into the back of an amplifier that then feeds some hi-fi speakers. That would work. Yeah, but there are dedicated audio interfaces which are iPad compatible. Some are quite cheap and inexpensive. Some are very expensive. All of the RME stuff is iPad compatible and has iPad drivers built in. But of course, RME stuff is not cheap because it's good. Very, very good. Maybe I should talk to my downstairs neighbor if my E-kit is annoying. Maybe a soft of a thick rug. Okay, so here's what we did in the house. Directly above me are my children, who could hear me talk when I was doing when we first moved into this house a year ago. They could hear me talking now in their room when trying to go to bed. So what we did is we pulled the floorboards up and we filled the floor void between the plasterboard and the rafters full of high density rock wool insulation. Put the floorboards back. We then put this stuff called Regupol, which is an underlay for wooden flooring, and it gives, I think it's something in the region of I want to say 28 to 30 dB drop on contact noise and airborne noise. So yes, I can still hear them if they fall out of bed, but if they're walking around, I don't hear anything. Then on top of that, it's an 18mm engineered wooden floor. So yes, it's not a cheap solution, but it certainly has improved the airborne and the impact noise between upstairs, their bedroom, and down here, which eventually this will be the family living room, where there'll be a telly with a sub probably, and I don't want to wake them up when I'm watching Star Wars at 8 o'clock at night. Hey, yeah, there are solutions. Certainly, any decoupling system you can do. Put a rug and then put your drums on a piece of plywood on top of that rug or on top of some Regupol, something like that, to decouple the the impact noise from your drums to the floor. That's what it is. It's contact noise, impact noise.
I didn't get that.
Go away. And the guitar says the new pickups in your Les Paul made it a better instrument by at least 60%. It was like night and day after you changed them. I totally agree. Those original Gibson pickups are okay. They are better. No two ways about it. And I've got another set of Kinmans that I might do a swap with, which has got even more versatility. I didn't like the look of them quite so much, but actually for a studio instrument, it doesn't really matter, does it? No one's going to say, "Ugh, your pickups look horrible," when they're recording. Actually, who says that anyway? Not me. Yeah, I do. I said it on shows before. John Wall, John Gordon. I have the Apogee Jam and have it routed to speakers, just as James suggested. There we go. Sort of a thick rug. Sorry, it's okay. I know what you meant. Don't worry. Great tip on noise isolation. I do my best. Well, a lot of that is what we're doing in the studio as well. All the concrete that's going down now is obviously the mass. We then have to decouple the floor from the concrete to stop ground-borne vibration going out into the ground. And not that we have that much here, traffic noise, ground-borne vibration getting back into the studio, which is not what we want. Paul must be secretly filming a special episode. that will blow our heads off. No, he's probably in the bar, and why not? When I played drums back in the day, the rudiments were pushed. Is this still the case? No. I think there's two sorts of drumming. There's people who want to play the song, get through the tune, and there's people who want to be better drummers. Rudiments will help, but it's not gonna get you through a song. It's not gonna teach you how to play a song and how to play drums for the song. It's gonna make you into a gospel chop player. So every single fill will go. It's not going to get you through a song. Learning how to play a song, learning how to go for 3 hours is going to get you through a gig. Learn to be a consistent drummer before you start getting clever with gospel chops and rudiments and stuff. They're useful for building up your dexterity, building up your flexibility. But last time I checked, rudiments never got anyone a gig. Wow, it really has become the drum rats tonight, hasn't it? Right, we're there. End of questions. I think we're there. Hopefully, it's been good tonight. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. Something slightly different. Thanks to all my drumming brethren out there who've crawled out of the woodwork tonight, which is quite good fun. Next week, we'll be back at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. It will be myself and Paul, probably accompanied by a can or two of Stella, even though I know he's not drinking anymore, or not drinking beer, normal beer anyway. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight, and take care, everyone. Have a safe week. There'll be more studio updates during the week. I might even get around to shooting the first video, because technically by Monday we're pouring the concrete in the ground, so I've got enough footage now to make up part 1 of the studio build. Yeah, have a good one, everyone. Take care, stay safe and all that, and we'll see you next week live from Bournemouth.